Give me 2.
What's up, everybody? It's Michael Govier, Benjamin Chase, and Robbie Baseball live here for the Prospects Power Hour. Right off the top, I want to tell you right now, this is labeled wrong. It's incorrect. We're not going to be doing these 3 teams today. I put the wrong graphic up, and I labeled it with the wrong teams. Robbie and Ben prepared for 3 different teams. So this will all be fine by the time you see it after the show. But if you're coming in live, you're going to see this right now and say, wait a minute, this isn't Cleveland, Miami, and the Angels. So instead of that, we're going to present you with the Boston Red Sox. KBO, right. KBO wannabes, Boston Red Sox, the Reds, and the Astros. So this is a Red Sox, Reds, Astros show. Be aware of that. But if you have questions, you can jump in the live stream, give us your thoughts, ask questions, mainly about these teams. But if you have a prospect question, we'll try to answer it along the way. So, Robbie, this is, I think, our first official show together outside of the 300 show. This is our first prospect show, so good to have you aboard.
Absolutely. I'm glad you stopped ducking me.
It's about damn time. Finally facing my fears. And Ben, you know, I'm really excited about how this series is going now. This is our 3rd year doing it. And so far, the shows you've done so far on the other prospects, which are available on our YouTube and all podcast platforms under Pallazzo Podcast, 2 L's, 2 Z's. They're really good. They're concise and detailed, and I think they provide something at least a little bit different in the prospects realm, which is very crowded.
Absolutely. And I love that we're having good chats. You know, we're having really good discussion on the guys we're getting. And I think Robbie and I were talking after I think the first one that we ended up, you know, you're supposed to cover probably between the 2 of us, if we each had completely different guys, you'd have a possibility of 36 players. And we said, so do you think we got to that many guys? And I went, you know, we might have, because we're covering quite a few guys off of our 3 and 3, which we do have some overlap. That's normal. I mean, it's sure. You know, if let's talk tonight. If you don't have Marcelo Meyer in either your first 3 or your next 3 with the Boston Red Sox, come on now. You're not really talking prospects. You're just trying to, you know, make a hot take.
Wow, dude.
So,
well, right. So we're not going to try to make this something that it's not. It's just a different way to look at it, right, Robbie? We take an angle and we try to provide you with 3, but really you guys end up always talking about more than 3.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm specifically looking at this I'm putting together my draft list for my various dynasty leagues, keeper leagues. Who are the guys that I think are going to provide return sooner than later, and who are the guys that I think could be like big splashes? So I'm taking big swings with my second half. It's far less about your SP5, but at the same time, as I'm saying it, I'm staring at one guy who's giving me fits, not to give anything away, that could end up being an SP4-5 type guy.
Okay. I'm going to lock you in there. That sounds good. Pallazzo Podcast, that's where we are on all socials, 2 L's, 2 Z's. You can email the show if you want to. Nobody is ever emailing a show, but you are able to do so. PallazzoPodcast@gmail.com. Let's take it off the top here. So remember, this is Boston, Cincinnati, and Houston. You guys want to start with Boston, or you want to start with something else?
We can go straight to Bowtown. So
okay, Beantown. I've never.
Yeah,
he did say Bowtown. Is that B.O. town? Like it's a stinky ass town?
Yeah, I was on my honeymoon. Somebody called it Bowtown when we pulled in, and I went, "That's different." So I don't know why, but that's been like a thing that has stuck ever since. So there you go.
Surprising, but I think Eric Cross would take offense to that. Although he doesn't live in Boston, but he enjoys. I'm sure he enjoys the town of Boston. But yeah. So let's do this. Let's start with we'll offer the top 3, and then we'll offer the next top 3, and then they'll throw in their other players in between. But Ben, why don't you lead us off with your top 3 for the Boston Red Sox?
So for me, the top one is Marcelo Meyer pretty easily. Then I've got Roman Anthony, and Ceddanne Rafaela is my 3rd one that I put on there. And you know, I guess that's probably going to be the most quote unquote controversial one of being a top 3 guy, even though he's usually a top 5 in their system pretty universally. But the way I have looked at him since he was in the minors, we talked about this last year on this same show when I was talking with Eric, and I said it's basically a Michael Harris light profile. I don't think he's going to ever put up those kind of offensive numbers in any category, but it's that kind of defense that's going to play every day because of that. And he can put up a little power. He can put up a little speed. He's going to give you double digits in both. That's a nice profile. So that's why I like Rafaela, because I just see a very high floor sort of guy.
Okay.
That's perfect. Rafael is my number one. He's my number one. So I think it's a bit of a cheat because he's an MLBer already. Might be a great 2020 guy for a few years. That's the peak we're looking at. We're not trying to get silly with it. Hot fantasy pickup last year, 2017 J2 guy, came along slow, right? Lost him to 2020, and then all of a sudden, boom, he appeared after 2022. Like you said, great glove, and that's going to be a big part of him getting opportunities in Boston. And they do have an interesting looking outfield for this year, which will provide him with playing opportunity. Again, we need to see it, come through full-fledged at the MLB level. Number two, I went with Marcelo Meyer. Not a fun and exciting pick because he's just one of those guys that's rostered everywhere. Obviously, the ceiling's high on him. He's a ways away. Let's just see what happens. And then I've got, okay, I am so good at pronouncing names. Zantello, who was their second-round pick in this last year's draft. That's my number three. Oh, I'm that flipping guy. All right.
You are.
That's okay. I'm going to give him, you gave a Michael Harris on Michelangelo's brother, Rafaela, and I'm going to go with a Bo Bichette comp. He's got a feel to him. High school prep circuit star. He's going to grow. And I mean, like, I even watched some interviews of this guy. Like, he's got so much hair. I'm jealous. But he also could be a Bogarts type, and he's in the, he's with Boston to be a Bogarts type for the stat line. I think tall, lanky guy. I don't have his picture in front of me anymore. My wife maybe take it down, but he just has that look about him of like, this guy is a baseball guy ready for the post-game interview, talking about how everybody was digging at balls. And he just seems like that kind of guy to me.
And he's 6'2", 200 right now.
Okay.
And I think,
solid.
Yeah, he's a solid guy. He could still handle short. I think he's probably a third baseman long term, but he's definitely got the arm to handle that well. And so, even if he's I like where you're going. He fits the mold of a number of guys we're going to talk about over the course of the night, where if the hit tool hits, then you've got something. But because he's got power, he's got speed, they're really pretty. But yeah, I will say, since I will give a preview here. I don't have him on my next three, so he's a good guy to chat about because, I loved the pick. I think it's a guy that they can, because of where their depth sits on the left side of the infield right now, they can let him go at his own pace.
Yeah, I had a speed comparable or a development comparable to the Angels with David Calabrese, who's a future episode. And Calabrese is 20 years old, or was 20 years old last year, went to Double-A, and they just let him play. Like, the line doesn't look good, and we can get into him in the next one. But I could see that same kind of profile of, we're going to give you a level a year. You're going to be ahead of younger than everybody, the level you're at. And we're going to let you do it. Just let you do it. And if he ends up repeating a level like at Double-A, I think that just means that's when Boston's like, okay, show us what you got now. Like you tripped up at A, we moved you, or you hit okay, whatever. We'll see what happens with him there. But I really like him, and he just looks like a gamer to me.
Yep.
All right. So with that, let's hear Ben's next top three, or the next big three.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So the next three I have, I'm going to start off just torquing Robbie off by talking about a catcher.
I'm going on mute.
But in all reality, Kyle Teal's going to make it to the major leagues because he is a tremendously athletic defensive catcher. And I think there's a good chance he could play other places. But this is probably a guy more in like the Gabriel Moreno mode. I don't think you'll ever see Kyle Teal hit 30 home runs. He might be lucky to hit 20. Oh. But this could be a guy that hits 280, 290, 300. And that's a pretty valuable thing to stick in your catcher spot, especially in 2-catcher leagues. So that's my evaluation on him.
All right, who else? Now that you got the crappy one out of the
I
way.
was say I was waiting to see if you had anything to say on a catcher. So Miguel Bleis is a guy who, good Lord, there were places that had him top 10 to top 20 in all of baseball last year coming into the season. And quite frankly, that's just not who he is. But that said, if he can make average contact, the power is plus to double plus. The speed right now is some of the best speed in their system. You get that guy even getting a 260, 250 average, he's going to put up a 30-30 season. I mean, that's really what a lot of what Alfonso Soriano did is what you're looking at right here. That's that type of a profile. I'm scared about the plate discipline. And if that plate discipline isn't there and he's not making 290 contact, what's that turn into? So, but he's young and he had an injury last year. A lot of people just dumped off of him hard this year. I think he's a guy that we still need to pay attention to. And then finally, Wickelman Gonzalez, who he might miss the plate more than anyone I've ever considered a potential future starting pitcher. But he comes at it from a low release point, and because of that, he gets the kind of the rise on his fastball the way that like Joe Ryan gets with his fastball. And secondaries are okay. They're not, I mean, the curve looks wicked from that angle because it looks like the curve is jumping up and then dropping down because of his arm angle, which for a batter's mind, that's really not nice. But the control is absolutely below average. And I mean, you throw him in the bullpen, that's an elite combination of skills, but he's a solid athlete. There's no reason right now they're even going to think about putting him in the bullpen. And quite frankly, he moved up to Double-A and actually got better last year. And so that's one of those things where they're going to give him another shot for sure to start because of that.
Yeah,
Robbie, what do you say to all that, huh? You got thoughts? You got opinions?
I do. My fear with Wilkeman, other than his name is a little bit tough for me, is what you just said about the bullpen. Like, I feel like if he can't make it as a starter, he misses the zone so much. He's just going to be a walk machine in short relief. So he really is boomer bust at that position, which again, not bad for like your second tier, right? He's got to get the control underhand. Kopech was looking horrible until he got up with the White Sox and then was able to control the walks. So it's not like they're exact comparables, but I mean, why not? Let's just do it right now and say that. Chad, Teal is not the best catching prospect, and I can't believe I'm wasting time saying that. It's just talking catchers. That's all it is, Chad. It's not you. It's the word catcher. Anyway, so my number four. My number 4 is Blaze Jordan, 21-year-old Double-A prospect.
Blaze!
He was the YouTube guy, if you're trying to remember exactly where he
YouTube
came
guy?
on. Yeah, in 2020, third-round pick. He had some cool YouTube videos of doing fun stuff.
And hitting 500-foot home runs.
Yeah. It was kind of like the Jason Dominguez idea of like the videos we saw were like, this guy's amazing. And then other people were like, well, if you watched him play all the time, you'll see he's a real baseball player, not a, phenom. But I love the slower pace that Boston's been putting him at, allowing, the prospect hungry fantasy type GMs to pass him over. Prospect fatigue. He's hit well at every level, and I'm loving the OBP until Double-A. Still 350 overall in his first 3 seasons as a pro, and the Double-A promotion was a 289 dip. Now, guys go to a new league, maybe they're not seeing the fastball as much. The pitchers there are like, I'm going to give you the break and stuff, and he's biting on it. We'll see what happens this year. But I like Jordan in that sense. The guy that I was getting into Fitz about earlier is named Richard Fitz. He is now this is the rare Yankee Red Sox trade that he came over. 3 pitches, former Yankee farmhand, would have been a first-round pick if not for an injury in his last year of college. So I'm going to give him the hidden gem value because in 2021, he was a 6th-round pick. He played last year at AA. And my number 6 guy is Franklin Arias. He can/will be a shortstop. He hit well in the DSL, the 350, 440, 453 line. I love a guy who walks more than he strikes out when he's young. We know that changes when they move over to complex or A-ball, but when they start at that point, they've got a better approach than somebody who's trying to hit 6 home runs in the DSL. So he's too young to say that he can or will hit for power, but I'm buying it before he hops stateside and people start to get real excited about him. So he's a jump in early guy.
Jump in early. Get it while it's hot. What about, okay, give me the ancillary Red Sox that still haven't been discussed, too. We got to get that in the bag. Come on, stuff it in there.
Like, I spend a lot of my time trying not to talk Red Sox, just because, I don't like them growing up as a fan of the Blue Jays, even though we're not going to get into who I do or don't like now. But yeah, I mean, Mikey Romero was a popular guy. Nick York was super popular 2 years ago, right? Everybody, he was flying up lists. And it's still there. Nathan Hickey was another guy that was interesting. Brian Matta, he's a major leaguer now, Matta. So,
Utah, give me 2.
Matthew Z wants the NFBC guy to give me 2. So there's your 2. For those of you that are not paying attention, Robbie is having a little fun on the live stream. This is the difference when you're watching the video version on YouTube. You get a little extras. If you're not, then you can't see it because you're just listening. So check out YouTube, Pallazzo Podcast, 2 L's, 2 Z's. Ben?
Utah,
else?
give me 2.
You're on mute.
Oh, Ben, you're muted. It's so sad when that happens.
I bet that was super useful information.
I'm sure
it was. But the good part is
now we're moving on.
Talking. No, Wilyer Abreu is the guy who I was going to bring up. And just because we've talked about this many times, I'm a sucker for defense. And Abreu might have the best outfield arm in all of minor league baseball. And so it's a lot of fun to see him uncork one from outside in the, from deep in the outfield and have him just launch and nail a guy at second base, which is just incredible to see. His offensive skills are basically just, he's an average on everything and nothing really stands out, but that arm is really impressive and probably means he has somewhat of a big league career because he's probably going to end up somewhere as a 4th outfield type. And, maybe he might be able to do a little more, but that's Wilyer Abreu. Woohoo. So,
all right. Well, all you Red Sox fans, I hope you enjoyed that portion of the show here on the Pallazzo Podcast. It's me, Mikey G, Ben, and Robbie, of course, talking about the next big 3 today. We kind of putting it to an end for Boston. Now, do you guys going to go with the Reds or the Astros next?
You tell us, Skipper.
I'm going to save the Reds for last because I find them most interesting. So let's go to the Astros next, just to get that out of the way. Now, I'm not saying the Astros don't have an interesting system with some tantalizing players to munch on, but that's a strange way to put a prospect. Someone to munch on? Yeah. Well, however it strikes you.
I mean, these are a lot of these are teenagers here, Michael. Let's be careful.
I got a lot of things going on here, man. I got some issues. So, yeah.
I'm going through some things.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, I like that. I like that
one. All right. So let's start with you, Robbie, this time. Ben, let us off. You lead us off here on the Houston Astros current top 3.
Okay, so for my number 1, we're going to Italy. We got Spencer Arragati. My number 2 is Jacob Melton. Sorry, I don't have an accent for that one. But let's go back to, I'll make this Italian. I'm sure he's not. With my number 3, Joey Loperfido. So I've got a first base, second base outfielder in Loperfido, and I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right, but honestly, suck it, okay? He's knocking on the MLB door after 25-25. Season in the minors, he hit 3 levels. I'm picking him up because I like the fact that Houston's outfield depth is shallow. I also am afraid because I watched them screw up Jose Siri for, I think it was a season and a half before Tampa Bay was like, I think we know how to make him a major leaguer. But whatever. Abreu is the first baseman They have JJ Mechevich, who's now kind of aged out of the fun excitement of being a prospect. They clearly don't like his, two outcome approach. And so I think there's a potential there for Loperfido to be the move around guy.
Damn! Wow, 2 outcomes.
Utah.
Yeah.
Give me 2.
There you go. I pressed the wrong button the first time.
That's okay.
Thanks. Hey, that's fun. Okay. We having fun yet?
So who was your third then, Robbie? You had
Loperfido was the third.
Loperfido.
I had Aragati and Jacob Melton, 2022 second round pick.
Yep. I didn't
I'm hoping
Melton.
we got some overlap, so I only wanted to talk about the Loper because I didn't think you'd have him top 3.
And no, I actually, interestingly enough, we have the same top 3. So I'm going to talk
first. That's a first.
Is that a first?
It is the first time we've had that. The guy I really want.
Or maybe it's bad news. Maybe that's an omen. I don't want it to be an omen. I'm excited. You guys are wizards. You guys are geniuses. So I'm going to take it as a positive.
So the guy I'd want to talk about out of that group is Melton, and
perfect.
I'm a big fan of his skill set. I think that's a guy that very feasibly next year is pushing up for major league time. And really right now, Melton is a top 100 guy for sure. Most places, you're seeing 2 of the guys that went in that Mets trade are top 100 guys. And Aragati, I'm seeing a lot of places as a just miss guy. And I'm seeing someone else we're going to talk about here in a little bit as a just miss guy. But Melton to me is a guy who folks don't like the way his swing looks, but it works. Yeah. I mean, but it works for him. And that's just it. Like nobody all the way up, everyone talked about how bad Royce Lewis's swing was. Guess what? It works. You know, it works for him. It helps his timing. He gets around on everything. And it's not just he gets around on low velocity. He gets around on high velocity. I like him as a guy who, if you want to take about a step and a half back from Kyle Tucker, it's that type of profile. Very good speed, very good power. And I think he can hit. He's not going to hit as well as Tucker overall. Probably not going to be a 30-30 guy, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's 20-20 and maybe even 25-25. So.
Wow, dude. Okay. Well, that sounds like fun. Yeah. Robbie, what's your retort?
He had the 23 dingers last year, 40 plus stolen bases. I mean, we love it for fantasy. Again, outfield depth in Houston is thin, so it allows him that opportunity. I think he's more of a 2025 type solidified MLB than, like sneaking up this year. But to me, I'm not seeing anything really concerning. Like 2 strikeouts to every walk last year, sure. But you're playing a full season. You're going to get some better coaching as you go along. 2-strike approach can do the change for him. The big thing is going to be the light kick. Can he do like a slightly less kick on the, once he's got 2 strikes and all of a sudden drop a bit in power, but keep it up?
We're going to get all in your face and point out your faults.
Or are the coaching staff going to say, you know what, strike out? Like, we don't care. We want to see that power. Don't change because we don't want you to get in your head. So, yeah. And as for Aragati, I mean, I like him. I was on him last year. He was one of those list guys for me where I was looking to pick him up, second half of rookie eligible drafts because he wasn't thought that highly of. But, 4 pitches, fastball, curve, slider, change. He's just high K to 9 guy. What was it I put here? The K to 9 first alerted me when checking on MLB.com one night in July 2022, and since then I've been like adding them where I can. I just like it. The nice thing is that Houston graduates a lot of their prospects. They don't always work out, but at least they're a system where not everyone's overwhelmed with the talent, but they keep seeing guys come up, they play, they cycle up to the next one, they come up, they play, and that's a good sign for fantasy guys. You can pick up Astro potential players because they should get a shot.
Beautiful. Could we move to the next big 3, Ben?
Sure. Now the guy that I was talking about that might be on, or that is kind of getting a lot of love on back end of prospect lists is Luis Baez, an outfielder that's a young guy. I love his overall package of skills. It's really fun to watch. The power is freaking ridiculous. And so then the other two, I have Bryce Matthews and Zach DeZenzo are my other two that I have in my next three. So
there you go, right on schedule.
Then,
See, Chad says, I'm assuming Ben was alluding to DeZenzo, who was a perennial favorite name on the show, and I've actually started seeing him on some lists in the 80-85 range overall.
And I've seen him more on fantasy-focused lists, the overall lists, like your Pipeline, your BA, Baseball Prospectus, stuff like that. They're still not quite there just because he's almost certainly a first baseman because the defense is just atrocious at third. But he's got an arm. I mean, it's just a matter of if they might try him in the outfield a little first before making the first base choice. But God, the power.
We're talking about practice.
Yeah, well,
he's practicing. He's going to get there.
Yeah. But the power is legit. The swing goes in and out. And that's the concern with DeZenzo is he's going to go on long streaks where he's making Mario Mendoza look like a really good hitter. And then he's going to cut which, boy, if folks don't get that reference, I'm going to start feeling really, really old. But then he'll go on a streak where he's going to hit 290, with huge bombs, and the power should be consistent no matter what. It's just that how consistent his contact will be is going to really determine his overall value as a future player.
All righty. We're humming along here. You guys could jump in the live chat, just like Chad has been doing, if you so desire. I see you're watching. We got some people watching right now, so don't be shy. Come on in. Robbie, what do you think of your top three Houston Astros? My next three.
Yeah. So I'm with you on bias. Love it. 20-year-old outfielder. He was a late J2 signing, which is a Houston thing. So that's cool. They're willing to kind of pass on the big dollars and get you the next time around. My number 5 is, my next three. Rhett Kuba is a 2021 12th round draft pick who I think finished the year. Yeah, he got promoted to AAA. 6 foot 180 righty, does what stuff pitchers struggle to do, and it costs him opportunities. He pounds the strike zone. This isn't a down and away nibbler. He wants to get you no or bad contact, which is what we're seeing less and less of in the game. Ideally, for fantasy, you want higher K to 9. You can do a little bit of a trade-off if Ezzy goes up AAA and then into the show. We're just getting that thing, what do they call it? Quality starts. That's right. That's what he could be, a quality start pitcher. And that's what I'd like him to do for us. The next one is more of a I'm dreaming on you, and that's Miguel. I'm gonna nail the names. Why don't I just pick like names I can pronounce?
This one you're legit on though. So
You're
Uvala, right? No,
I don't. Yeah, Volva is it? It's ULLOLA. Okay, that's just right. Type that in, Miguel. ULLOL. Someone tell me how to pronounce it, and I will work on my enunciation. Anyway, he's a fastball first guy. 3 other pitches working to get you thinking about them so he can then turn around and nail you again with the fastball. RP risk, sure. But I mean, how can you not love a 20-year-old who could absolutely pound it? 22 years old. He'll be playing at AA this year and great K to 9 potential.
He reminds me a lot of Framber Valdez, but from the right side.
Ooh.
Framber is a guy that he throws such a hard, heavy fastball and pound. I mean, that's almost all he throws is fastballs, but you just ground him out. And that's the type of fastball that he has. It's not 100-mile-an-hour pitch, but man, when he locates his pitch lower in the zone, he gets what you want out of going north and south with his fastball. When he's locating it below waist, you're putting that ball on the ground every single time because of the action on the fastball. When he gets it letters and up, you're swinging underneath it because it looks like it's going to, dip for you, and then it just stays on plane. That rising fastball effect is very good. The thing I love last year watching a couple of his starts, he went from throwing an ugly curveball at the beginning of the season. By the end of the year, it wasn't it by no means was a plus curveball, but he had control of it. And that's a huge, huge thing. And we all know that Houston is amazing at taking a regular guy that he can locate his fastball. We can get you some metrics on that fastball and make it play up. And then, hey, here's this curveball we teach everyone. Work with that. And, you know, there's your Christian Javier. Look at all these guys that they brought through the system that their
curveball pitching coach, Lance McCullers, could take everybody aside and say, I tell you, this one postseason, fellas, I did this thing where I threw that curveball.
Man, I'm glad I called that guy.
And I mean, coaching is about all he's done the last couple of years. So I mean, I'm sure.
That's why I'm calling him Coach. Coach McCullers. It even sounds good, Coach McCullers. That could be a sitcom.
That is bullshit.
Well, no, I think it's legit. Okay, Ben, do we have non-list guys that you're interested in? I've got Jaime Melendez. I'm not going to call him Jamie. I love him. He's a bonus mention, not a lock in the top 3. He also doesn't seem to get much love when I'm looking on lists, which is why I make mine, because some people make mistakes.
So the guy I love is Alonzo Treadwell, was drafted this year.
Okay. Yeah.
6'8". I mean,
I love that. I love those stats.
6'8", 230. But he would have been a legit guy coming out of high school and had Tommy John. And so then he went to college instead. I mean, nothing has really come back the way it was starting to show as a high schooler, but he's coming over the top with a 95 mile an hour fastball at you. And and he has 3 other pitches. All of them are average-ish. And as he's getting that control back, God, that could just be a weapon. When you're 6'8" and you can control 4 pitches, even if they're all average pitches, you're gonna be able to do some stuff. And the thing I like the best seeing video on him is I don't know that I ever saw him goofy in his delivery, which when you get over a certain height, you know, we've had this conversation a few times. Once you get over a certain height, you tend to have a little more trouble having a consistent delivery because you got these great big old long arms and legs. He's really very consistent with his delivery. It's just a matter of being healthy. And so I love him. I think he's one of those guys that he's going to end up popping in like 2 years and we're all going to go, God dang it, the Astros got another one. So, but he's got a long ways to go now. So,
yeah.
Whoopsie daisy.
The other 2 guys that I wanted to mention, I guess Zach Daniels honorable mention, but more so just to like the fantasy guys out there. Justin Dearden, who was an outfielder or is an outfielder with the Astros, has stalled out at AAA, much like Pedro Leon. These are absolute, you can do a buy-sell episode. These are sell guys. These are people who someone in your league may know their name. Leon for sure, they'll know. You want to get some type of asset back for them. And you can always do the like, hey, I kind of don't mind this 18, 19-year-old guy that we're talking about as the next 3 on our podcast right now. And you trade them a Dearden, a Leon, so that you get away from that because they'll be like, oh, this guy's at AAA. Yeah, sure. That sounds good to me.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't just like understand that Houston will churn and burn these guys out quickly. And I think that's the thing. Like both those guys are prospects or have been prospects with some level of, clout desire for fantasy owners. I don't think this is a good investment anymore.
No.
Oh my goodness. Well, I appreciate you guys being honest. I will go to a comment here just to get your guys' take, if you have any, from Chad. I came up with one Astros question. Does the bat ever catch up to the glove for Esmil Valencia, or is his best outcome Harrison Bader meets Kevin Kiermaier?
Quite frankly, I'll be honest, I just don't have enough information on the swing with him to be confident saying it's gonna get better. What I heard is his speed was what basically allowed him to do anything at the plate when he, there's a lot of balls. If you look at how many doubles and triples a guy gets in the Dominican, let's just say there's a lot of those that are gifted errors that they should have been recorded as an error, But at that level, they're just kind of like, well, it looks like he found the gap. Yeah, no, maybe not. And so there's, that would get chopped off at batting average, and pretty soon it's already a 262 average. Already that's, now you're looking at like a 240 something with a whole lot less, doubles and triples. Yeah, I worry a little bit about the profile and offensively, but from what I've understood, it's going to be an elite, probably right field glove. He can handle center, but it's more arm over glove, and it kind of profiles as a right field if he can make it, sort of thing.
I also feel like we need to see him go to complex.
Yep.
And see what he's like against hyped players of his same age, which is a big thing for a lot of the DSL guys. There are teams we talked about last podcast that skip complex and send them to A. We talked about the Rockies making a shockingly bad choice for the Rockies, right? They always.
That's the wrong beer.
Bush.
Shit.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are you talking about?
Oh, there we go. Jeez. I was thinking
Mountains
St.
of Bush.
Louis. I'm sorry.
Talk about a nightmare.
Yeah.
Jesus. I apologize.
But yeah, so I kind of think that's the next test for him. I'm certainly not going out and getting him. One of the worst things that happens with J2 guys, especially this time of the year, is people don't look enough, like YouTube, the swing, all that kind of stuff. They don't do that. They are like, what are the signing bonuses? Oh, I guess he's worth it. And then that's the end of it.
That's smart, dude. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, so I try to find second tier guys. I put in the time. It's always good to have like a real J2 type or J15 professional to talk to, and it sure would be cool if we could have that someday.
Is that a hint? Is that a teaser? Do you got something? No, you don't.
We got the Reds to talk about. Does that count?
I don't know why that scary music played. I'm very excited about the Reds. I think the Reds are a lot of fun. Hey, look who's here. My pal Charlie. What's up, buddy? Charlie's here. Always good to see Charlie. FFS Govier? We know what that means?
That's when you miss the beer drop.
Oh, yeah.
For fuck's sakes.
Oh, that's what that means? Oh,
yeah.
no,
I didn't know that either. I had no clue.
That.
You guys are on the inside. Yes, let's lock in now here for the Cincinnati Reds. We've given you so far some Boston, some Houston. Now we're going to the Midwest, right down the middle, the tri-state area of Indiana, Kentucky, and, of course, Ohio. Cincinnati Reds was a place I used to live, but I never saw a game when I lived there. I'm an idiot for doing that. I regret that. I lived there in 2004. I could have been watching.
There you go.
Andy Adam Dunn? Was that Adam Dunn's there? Oh, Andy Dalton. Yeah, that's. You think about boring players. Andy Dalton is just like the definition. Why do you have a jersey, by the way?
How dare you?
You have a jersey. You have an Andy Dalton jersey. For those that can only hear this, Robbie just pulled out an Andy Dalton jersey, which was the last thing I thought I would see today. So
I will say, yeah, he's got Ocho.
Oh, Ocho Cinco.
Ocho.
Ooh.
One of my life on the bucket list of life for me is to attend a Cincinnati Reds opening day game, because they do opening day right in Cincinnati.
But that's been changed. It used to be super special, right? They changed that. I mean, it's still opening day. It used to be like the first game of the season, right?
They used to always have the first game, but they still do a parade that day. They still do all the like pomp and circumstance. They just don't get the MLB push to be the first game of the year and things like they used to.
I did not know that. That's amazing and should be rewarded.
Oh, yeah. That's a cool little thing about Cincinnati. So, all right, Cincinnati Reds, top three. Who's leading off here?
Give her to Ben.
Okay. So I basically went, this is a fun system, folks. This is a really, really, really deep system that we could probably talk about 20 guys, no problem. So I went with three guys that are absolutely major league players. One of them has been there already. That's Noelvi Marte. Second one is Rhett Lauder, who it wouldn't surprise me if he's there next year, or this year, that is.
Yeah.
And then my third one is Edwin Arroyo, who, as a fantasy guy, may not be sexy, but he is going to be a major league player, and he's going to be probably a major league, well, almost certainly a major league regular. So that's the guy. I'll talk just a little bit on. He's not. I don't think he's ever going to hit you 20 home runs. Might not even steal you 20 bases. I like the profile, liken the profile to Miguel Rojas back in the day when he was with the Marlins. Very, very consistent defender. Doesn't do a lot of flash, but almost never screws up. And that's just, it is such a, you watch him defense and you're just like, okay, how is he so good? He's not doing anything crazy, not making any big dives, but he's like a vacuum out there. He gets to absolutely everything, sucks it up, and it's an out. It's really impressive to watch, which is going to, like I said, it leaves him with a really high floor that he will be a major leaguer. It just might not be one that is sexy for us in fantasy.
Okay. Well, I am really excited because I put Edwin Arroyo on the new graphic that I've made for this show. So at least I got one of the top 3 from Ben. I feel good about that. So, and what about you, Robbie? Disagreements for the top 3 of the Cincinnati Reds?
1 and 2 were locked and loaded. I like how we're starting to, we're sinking. As some of the ladies say. And then on the third one, sorry, that got a little blood on my face there. The third one I've got is Chase Petty.
Chase Petty,
starting pitcher, 2021 first rounder, finished the year in AA. He's not getting the sexy 9, K to 9 that you want in fantasy, but he gets outs and he's kept his walks in check. I think he comes along slower than Louder, but has a future in the mid to back end of the Reds rotation. And like, kudos to the Reds for being one of the teams who promoted a whole bunch of guys last year. It's exciting for us as fantasy guys to see it come up and happen. And then it's even better when the team takes, they win games because they've done it, because it might just encourage another team or two to do it. And it didn't empty out the system. Marte at the end of the year, the knock on him was prospect fatigue, whatever you want to say. He peaked when the trade happened, all that kind of stuff. He's always been young for his age. It's always been something that he's had to overcome from day one. It was like, he's not a shortstop. But he's 3 true outcome type guy. He's a fantasy, asset. He's not going to strike out as much as a Eugenio Suarez has in a Reds uniform. And then when he did in a Mariners uniform, and whoever he goes to next, I like it. And Louder is going to be up, I think, at the end of 2023, if it's all going well for the Reds. Sure. That changeup's elite. It sets up the rest of it for him. He can do a little bit of nibbling and not get caught. J.A. Haas, is that right? Is it Haas? Hop? The guy that was with the Astros, got traded to the Jays, got his Hap. Son of a bee sting. It was Hap, who was a nibbler. He constantly nibbled, could never get quality starts. That's my only fear with Louder, is if he tries to nibble when he gets strike 2 and then throws ball, lets the guys get away. Other than that, though, he's got the ability. He's pro ready. It's like drafting Alek Manoah. He's going to be up. He's going to play. The team's on the right path. This is a safe guy to get in your dynasty.
I love rumors.
So
that sounds promising.
Louder's a guy who he just attacks the crap out of hitters. And the good thing is he's got the stuff to do it. He's got, he's a plus control guy. I mean, if anyone watched college baseball, this is a guy who went toe-to-toe with Paul Skeens for almost an entire game. And if you ask me, Louder was the better pitcher that day. And that was in College World Series action. He's a legit, I think I compared him to Nick Lodolo, but from the right side, as in there's a really high floor there.
Wow.
There's a really high floor there, but there is also still some room for him to add on to what is already a really impressive set of skills. The guy, when you're talking about Chase Petty, I think everyone, you brought up Chad's comment about him being a reliever only. And, this is a kid, when he was drafted by the Twins, one of the first things, the guy's freaking amazing when you put a microphone in front of his face. You got to love that. But he was a guy who popped hundreds at Showcase, so he's popping triple digits and
poppers
went through some, and he has a legit 60, 70 grade slider. And so that's where a lot of that reliever talk came from. And he got into pro ball and just went, you know what? I really need to be able to work a whole start. I'm not going to throw 100, so all of a sudden he's a guy who's topping out more to 95. and it's a two-seamer. It gets a lot of ground balls, but what he kept hearing was, well, his control is only average-ish. So the kid, I think right now he legitimately could hit the nose on the dime the way as he throws the ball. And it's just amazing to watch him that quickly turn into that kind of a pitcher to where he can nail his spots so well. And it definitely changes him from a ceiling to a high ceiling to a high floor player already, which is a crazy thing to happen in a matter of 2 years from draft time to the point of where we're at now.
Okay. Wow. What do you think of that, Robbie?
I like it. You said he could hit the nose on a dime. Do you think he could hit the polar bear's nose on the tuna?
I was just going to say, we're going to get into Canadian money, aren't we?
I was going to say, we can get a $2 coin here. No, I mean, I like it. Like, I'm a Petty fan. I like all three of these guys. Marte's just been the one that's had the tarnish on him, but he's done the right thing by persevering. And at age 22, he's
because I want to fit in.
Yeah, he fits in.
And that's what he does. And I bet he is an excellent addition to that clubhouse.
Yeah, Chad says, I got my notepad open and my pen and my inkwell ready for Ben and Robbie to tell me how good Alfredo Duno is. Who am I kidding? I'm waiting for only Ben to do that.
Yeah, who's that? I do know who you're talking about.
I do not
I'm
know.
not arguing that with you.
So now I'll use Petty. Petty is in the top of my next three. But one of the best parts about Petty is I think in a clubhouse, he's going to be like a Jock Peterson type, where he's just in there, come on, you MFers, let's get this done. And, I can't wait to see him in a major league clubhouse the way that he's going to respond. But that's, I like the kid a lot. He's in my next three, and I kind of picked two other guys that I'm going to have some cold water for. First one being Connor Phillips, who,
cool.
I think he's a little higher perceived than what I believe he truly is.
I agree.
And then the other one is Cam Collier, which really makes me sad because I love Cam Collier.
What? Everybody raves about Collier. Anybody who claims to be a prospects overlord has said nothing but wonderful things about Cam Collier since he's been drafted. I can't believe I'm hearing this.
Yeah, no, I loved Cam Collier coming out because he was a year younger than everyone else and had a swing that looked more mature, which I thought, this is a really good thing. And sure, right now the swing still looks, when he's able to get there, it looks really good. The problem is he hits a lot of balls into the ground and into the right at guys and doesn't get underneath much. And for a guy whose probably best tool overall is his power, that's not a good way to get into that. So that's a concern for me. And he's already taken such huge steps backward with his athletic ability. I mean, he's listed as 6'2", 210. It would not at all surprise me if he is 20 pounds heavier than that. I mean, he just moves so terribly at third base. I think he's a first base only guy at this point, and that really changes what he's got to do with the bat. You got to be elite with the bat to be a first base and be a legit prospect. And he's got the underlying tools to do that. He just needs to get the ball in the air. And so right now, if I had him in a dynasty and someone was offering me kind of top 100 value for him, I'd probably buy it. I'd probably sell on that.
So Spencer Aragati, you would make that deal.
Oh yeah. Especially because that's a
no
guy
brainer.
Yeah.
That's a future major leaguer for sure. And Collier's he's got multiple years to kind of show that he's ready for that. So,
and that's not the first Cincinnati guy who was drafted high, a high school guy drafted high, who has now regressed not since draft day, but like from the draft time to now thought of a little bit less.
Yep. And that's, So the other, Phillips, I don't know if you've got Phillips on yours at all, Robbie.
No, I'm empty, not Phillips. With
Okay.
I'm sorry. The puns, when they come to me and I've got a microphone in front of me, they're gonna come out. That's just
No.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
That's true. No.
You'll need to find a more accurate one for that was not punny. Find that.
I don't
somewhere.
want your life.
How about that?
Oh my God!
just
Are we
don't-
going to Varsity Blues it?
I don't want your life.
Yeah.
VHS. I got the VHS copy.
Nice.
Right here.
Yeah.
Special edition, guys. Special edition.
That's a genius move. I mean, I would love to have VHS Varsity Blues. I wish I could be as cool as you. I mean, that makes
you never know. Go
the
ahead.
coolest guy on the show.
I want
You're the coolest guy on
compliment.
the show now.
Oh,
Yeah.
this
This is an open and shut case.
You never know when Cinema 9 is going to call. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Um,
But yeah, Phillips, I think
Clean out
was
your
a guy-
locker at the club, Bob.
Phillips was a guy that benefited a ton from the sticky ball in AA early in the year because it gave his curveball extra depth. And I mean, he's got a nice curveball, but you got to see it in the majors that he doesn't have anywhere near the control of it that he showed in AA. I mean, he went through a stretch in his last start in the majors where he threw 12 balls and 12 pitches. That's not good. It's not good.
That's bad. Okay.
that is an astute job of scouting that one right there.
I say,
Way to call it.
Ben's pitching analysis. 12 balls and 12 pitches is not good.
Hey,
Not-
Connor Phillips' birthday's on May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Every year he
there
gets
you
to
go.
celebrate that on his birthday. Isn't that fun?
Well, or if
noted.
that is your birthday, he may not like it anymore. Who knows? But
Yeah, it's like when you're born on Christmas Day. They really screw you. It's not cool.
poor Ricky,
No.
Okay, so my next big three, I've got 2 A-ballers and 1 no-baller. My first A-baller is Adam Serwinkowski, the 19-year-old lefty who was a 15th round pick in 2022. Originally he was highly touted, mid-90s fastball, low 80s slider, crushes the souls of hitters. He's a
There
long
he
way
is.
off, but at 6 foot, he's a little down on the MLB.com list.
He's only 19.
I don't go.
So
I was gonna say I don't go off that for fantasy relevance. I go off who's gonna win me championships in future seasons. I don't care how many away it is. He's a flyer. He's a flyer guy. He's got a year pro ball under him. I just like the idea. I've been going back more because I hated on high school drafted pitchers so much 5 years ago that I really want to change my opinion of those guys. But it's still, I'm not investing their draft year like I used to adamantly tell people don't do that. Don't, you're wasting your pick. It's less than a 18% chance they're ever going to even exceed rookie experience, whatever, 50 innings pitched. Now I'm doing the circle back, right? Who are the guys who are past that still got like a bonus of some sort, opted not to go to college, and the team's doing something with, and you see the build, like a 6'5" guy. If you look at the picture that we've got up here on the YouTubes, I mean, this is a thin looking guy, but he's not bony, if I can say that. He's just thin, so he can continue to develop at that as he goes. It can just be another slow build guy here. And my next guy up is son of a bitch with the names. I need to figure this out for the next podcast. Shang Lin. I 100% have. And that's a Canadian who just said that right there.
that's right.
Will Arnett, baby.
Wait, there's no picture of
Lin.
Shang and Lin. This is lame. Come on.
No, this is what we want. No one knows who he is, so we can all go draft him. Okay. He's yet to play pro ball. Smooth contact over power. He also has the shortstop, outfield, starter pitcher tag. Oh, right-handed pitcher, it says on here. Well, let's just say it's starting pitching. Why wouldn't you try to start, right? I'm excited to see what he can do. And I just want to put the little note out there that wasn't Hunter Green a two-way guy once upon a time, but now that would be a little more accepted. So maybe we'll see some type of Ohtani type guys down in the minors, and why not have it as a guy with the Reds. So my final guy is Carlos Sanchez, the lefty shortstop / outfielder. He was a 2022 J2 class guy for $70K. He wasn't part of their multi-million-dollar signings, but he's been the best of the guys so far. Great eye, drawing 1-for-1 K to walk, just over a 30% K rate, not ideal. the in-game over-the-fence power hasn't shown up yet, but 18 extra base hits in 2023 are strong indicators he's doing just fine.
Hell yeah.
I'm not arguing that with you.
I'm not.
Thank
Not
you.
one bit. Ben, any more? You want to respond to those players? You got some bonus Cincinnati Reds players here on the Pallazzo Prospects Prospect Hour.
Well, so there was a guy that I've got two extras. One of them maybe had the absolute best season statistically of any player in the minor leagues last year.
Austin Hendrick. Was it Austin Hendrick?
No. That would be Blake Dunn. Blake Dunn is a tremendous freaking athlete. The kid was recruited for track, football, and I believe basketball. Along with baseball in high school. This is like a legit 4-sport stud athlete.
The hell of a beard too.
I was just going to say, can we find another picture of the beard? I want to know if this is legit or if he was a bonus baby and he had a transplant, because that is
no,
thick.
He definitely wasn't much of a
25.
bonus. Yeah, he wasn't a bonus baby, but he ended up at Western Michigan because he killed himself his senior year of high school to injury. And so missed pretty much all of those sports. He was being highly recruited and then missed all of his sports. And so he ended up at Western Michigan hoping to play two sports and just played baseball because he wasn't really healthy. So he finally got healthy this last year.
Ginger roast.
Yeah. And then, yeah, there you go.
Sorry for talking over you, Ben.
He was 2 home runs away from being 30-50. And that's a hell of a year. I don't care if it's, if you're 30 and you're playing an A ball, that's still a hell of a damn year. Because it's hard to put up those kind of numbers. But he's a guy who goes so hard out every single play that you're almost a little worried that injury bug is going to come back at him again. But for right now, I mean, he's a legit elite fielder, not a great arm. He's probably a left fielder because of his arm. But what I saw this year is legit of his raw tools, but health has been such a huge bugaboo for him. So the other guy I want to talk about a bit is Ty Floyd, and he was
Typhoid.
Ty.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself. I couldn't.
Same
help
brain,
myself, sorry.
Govier. Same brain.
But this probably the best fastball in this last year's draft, and I'm including Paul Skeens. This guy has got the biggest issue he has is everything else is I mean, it's a 50 if he's lucky type of scouting grade on his other pitches, but he does throw 4. And man, the fastball is just gives him a really high floor as a reliever, but if they can do anything with his secondaries, this guy could be a really, really good starter. So that's my two guys.
That's high praise.
In that same draft, Hunter Holland was known as one of the safe lefty college pitching options. And he went wherever he was, 80s, just before 80s, something like that. And he's like the, could be up, never going to be too flashy guy, which is also ideal for a fantasy pick in your first year player drafts of a guy who falls back, because a lefty's always going to get 4 chances. Just because they want that look, they want that guy. Worst case scenario, as we always hear, bullpen for the guy, but that's not Holland. I don't think he's going to do it. He's starter or bust. Blake Dunn, I very quickly looked on Fantrax, one of the very honest sites out there, 21% rostered this week. And I think, he is available, MJ Govier, in our upcoming to be named later league draft. So I have penned his name in here because my queue's over 350 deep at this point. But I love, dude. It's a 300 player or 300 pick max draft. But what I love to do is when the draft starts, I like to get really antsy and then continually move my guys up in the queue. And then I just like, so like Teal's not in my top 100 because I want somebody else to make the mistake and draft him. I'm not going to do that.
Wow.
And somebody will, right? It's just like the J2 guys that signed for $4 million. They're all going to go way too early for 16-year-olds. You got to, wait. They're all top 50 type picks. They should go later, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, off topic on that, but I did put Dunn down in 21%. The other guys to mention, Reese Hines, who's been one of these guys for years that was about to break out. And like, we might see a career out of him. And I got to be honest, after watching Will Benson last year go to Cincinnati from Cleveland, and I was like, oh, that's too bad because Cleveland was turning their outfielders into MLBers. What does he do in Cincinnati? He turns into an MLBer, and he sucked in April. And I was so pissed because I thought they're going to bury him in AAA, and they brought him back, and he stuck. And it looks like he could be a starting outfielder right now. Yeah. They might have a platoon system set up for him. I don't care. He's on the roster. He was a slow build, exactly like Hines, where like, what are we going to get? Like the stat line looks good in the minors, but honestly, what can we expect as fantasy specific guys here? He was an interesting one. Part of the Donovan.
Hi, Donovan. Yeah, we waited for you. He says, I hate work. Thanks for holding off till I got here. We just started. Yep.
Yeah. We did mention, I jokingly mentioned Austin Hendrick. He's the first round draft pick that has fallen back. Where was he? He was 2020, 12th overall. And that was a guy that I remember, Rhoda Ronnie, who loves a good shout out. He is the league troll of league trolls in your fantasy leagues. He picked him up. So I love the fact that he sucks now. And sometimes you just got to like when a prospect fails if it hurts one of your frenemies. And I don't think
Ronald Rowdy, it's for you, buddy.
Yeah, that was pretty much it for me with the Reds. But again, kudos to the Reds for bringing up so many prospects last year and having them stick around. And they had to for injury's sake, but also when they stay up, or they create like that bubble where all of a sudden you're diving deeper into their system because like, well, who else could there be, right? Like who's got a pitcher who's really good defensively that might have some stolen base upside, whatever. It just makes you excited for the system, much like Houston.
Absolutely, my friend. Well said. Very exciting. Any final comments on the Reds, Mr. Benjamin?
Well, I noticed Chad, I'll put it up here quick. He asked about Duno, and I know that our boy Robbie is going to be like, nope, because that's a catcher. I will say,
I'll just leave and you guys wrap this thing up.
No, Duno is the second catcher in last year's class behind Ethan Salas in the J15 class. I have a lot of concerns in how Duno's contact tool is going to end up becoming. He has legit power. He's 6'2", 210 already as a 17-year-old. And he's a catcher. So that's going to wear on his body. So I wouldn't ever expect, I think he was like 6 for 6 or 7 for 7 in steals last year. And people went, ooh, he could steal 15 too. Yeah, no.
Nope.
He's already slow. He just happened to be running on catchers down there. And frankly, a lot of people ran on him. Even though he's got a really good arm, his footwork is bleh. It's bad. I think he's going to be a lot slower burn than Ethan Salas. And as a catcher, if they want him to play catcher, he's going to spend more time working at that first, then working his way up. I mean, William Contreras did the same thing. He was showing excellent stuff in the DSL, played very well in his first stateside work. And then they kind of hurried him up to AA and said, we're going to take whatever the crap you give us with the bat because we want you catching. And at that time, I think the rotation was something like Freed and Ian Anderson. And I mean, it was a ridiculously talented rotation that was sitting in AA. And so he caught those guys in bullpens. He caught those guys in regular season and learned how to handle a major league pitcher as a catcher. And then the bat took off the next year again.
I think Ian Anderson's still pitching in AA.
Well, you went back down there.
Yeah, he's right back down. Yeah.
Oh.
He's the Michael Jordan driving a Porsche, though. That's the scenario he's working off of.
If only he had a third pitch, that just God, well, or a second, but that's another thing. So yeah. Did we lose Govier?
Oh, we did.
Oh, sad.
He's Govier gone.
So I guess the question then would be, do you have it? Ta-da, there he comes back. He's back.
Oh, he's orange. Oh, he was orange and he's not orange anymore.
No, I'm not orange. Okay, come on. I do like Cheetos, though. I like Cheetos. And I'm proud of that.
So I guess, unless you have anything else, Robbie, I guess I don't. Like I said, we could sit here and talk Cincinnati for like the rest of the entire night if we wanted to, because it's that good of a system.
Sweet of you, Ben. That's a beautiful sentiment you're making, but society's got issues still. So
yeah, well,
I know I'm frozen too, but you can hear me. And I don't know why. I'm having computer problems. This is probably a sign that the show's over. But sorry, keep talking.
No, we're good. I think we covered the three. They're systems that don't appear to be the most sparkling, but they've got plenty of gems. That it's going to work out. It's going to work out well. I like that he keeps leaving and coming back for everybody that's watching on the podcast. When Ty and I would do dingers, which I actually had a notification that said it was 5 years ago today, the first episode of Dingers came out. Yeah. So I have now been podcasting poorly for 5+ years. And now I'm doing it here on Pallazzo podcast. But anyway, yeah, like the next one up for us is the one that has the thumbnail. It's incorrect. So the Miami, Cleveland, Los Angeles Angels. That'll be lots of fun. And Govier might even stick around the entire show for that one. Who knows?
Yeah, there you go. And
he's back.
We now have confirmed, and so a little drop at the end of this that next week we will be recording with the man, the myth, the legend, Ben Badler, and talking.
Thank you, Ben.
We are going to be talking about the international prospects group that just got signed for this most recent J15 class, and he's going to give us all the details about who you need to know and who's maybe getting money that they don't deserve. And
that's putting it mildly.
I don't think he's going to say anything like that, but he will definitely give you all the guys you do need to know, which this is going to be one of those highlight type of interviews.
Absolutely. I'm so looking forward to it because I just want to go. The Reds is a perfect team to leave at, to say, Mr. Badler, please, who are the Carlos Sanchez's of the J2 class that we need to look for? We know the big top dollar guys. We know those guys. They're going to get every opportunity. They've got the raw skills. Everyone's a shortstop. We get it. But who are the actual players that signed outside of those top 30 to 40 guys? Like, we want the next tier where there's legit talent, but the money wasn't there, because those are the guys who end up falling 2 and 3 years from now. They become the out of nowhere types, the Rafaelas like Boston has. We want to know who those guys are today. The Jackson Churio, another guy, though I think he was.
Thank you very much.
Well, I mean, if you want to put it that, Fernando Tatis Jr. and Ronald Acuna Jr. combined,
absolutely
signed for less than $200,000.
Alejandro Kirk, the speedster. Yeah. He was another cheapo signing. There's lots of them, right? There's lots of guys to do it, and we can always talk about the bust at the high end, but I think it'll be nice to have Ben come on and really let us know the score. I'm so looking forward to this.
Ho, slow down there, speed racer.
I probably won't even drink much during it.
Ooh, wow.
Well, gentlemen, I can't thank you enough for coming out here this evening.
Now, the other guy, as you guys are both getting your drink, the other fun thing we're going to do next Wednesday is we've got Eric from Birdland. If you guys remember him last year, coming on and talking about the Orioles. He and Mike Vies we're going to have a good chat about the depth of the Orioles farm system.
I thought you were going to say a three-way talking birds.
I'm just, let's just be careful with you.
Wow, dude.
But we're going to have some fun pods coming out on the channel here, folks. So let's be, keep your eyes open, because there's going to be some fun stuff coming out to talk about.
I like fun things, and I like you, Ben. I like Robbie fairly well as well, in addition to. We've had a good time here. This is the Pallazzo Podcast. Robbie Baseball, Benjamin Chase, myself, Michael Govier. Follow us on Twitter, Big Gentle Ben, Robbie Baseball 1, MJ Govier, Pallazzo Podcast 2 L's,
Utah.
2 Z's.
Give me 2.
And of course, the Discord's free. It's always the description. You click on it, you join in, and you can talk prospects all night long. You could talk upcoming draft plans, first-year player drafts for those that still have those on deck. We got it all. There's nothing we can't provide you that other shows could provide you. The knowledge base here is thick, vast, and long and deep. And I'm trying to make it seem like it's the most epic, massive thing. Like, you cannot avoid the knowledge base we got here. Robbie and Ben alone are masters, but then we got guys like Chad. Chad loves prospects. He's big into prospects. And there's other guys in there who know their stuff. Minor league baseball is something we have a pretty good handle on here at the Pallazzo Podcast. So I'm really proud of that. We've cultivated that. Ben's made that happen. I give a lot of credit to Ben for that because he's really been able to cultivate that here the last couple of years. And now that Robbie's here too, it's only going to make it even better. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to having Ben on. Not this Ben, the other Ben Badler. That's going to be really, really cool. I'm excited to meet him and talk with him. And make sure you are there. Take advantage of live chat. You had an opportunity to speak directly with somebody who has as much experience and knowledge and connections as anybody out there. It's a really special time for you.
Yeah.
As the viewer and the listener and the participator to get in. So make sure you do that because it'll be fun. Right?
Yes, correct.
Yes. See, I just needed that confirmed. Great. All right. So we will be back next week. Of course, the Discord's pumping 24/7 in the meantime. Pallazzo Podcast, 2 L's, 2 Z's.
Utah.
Robbie,
Give me 2.
Ben, and Mike. We're out of here. Peace.